Welcome to Mission Spooky today, you spooksters. I am your wonderful, beautiful, and fantastic host, JC, and with me is the co-host who does basically nothing, definitely doesn't run everything, do all the editing, and most of what is done for this podcast to exist, Kiki.
Yeah, okay.
We're just gonna allow people to believe these things that I say, because I am only honest. I have never once told a lie.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Sorry. There's a little. If there's any background crap going on right there, that was totally my fault. Sorry.
Apologies, not accepted. If it happens again, we're beheading you.
I've always wanted to go out like Anne Boleyn. Yeah.
I don't know who that is, but good. Okay. Okay, so we should tell people what they'll be listening to today.
Today's episode, we're going to be talking about haunted roadways. JC and I each chose a haunted roadway to explore, and I'm going to give you guys geographical information on each road, the ghost story or stories attached to each roadway, our personal experience on the roadway, and then I'm going to tell you if any of the story is based on historical fact or if it's all just very fine storytelling. Almost every city, small town, or village seems to have at least one road that is haunted. Where I lived in North Carolina, for example, we had Payne Edwards Road, which had 3 separate tales of equally horrifying consequences. It makes it on the list of the most haunted road in North Carolina. It has everything from suicides by hanging, murdered slaves, a ghostly Ford that follows behind you and disappears, dead children, and my favorite, the decapitated mother who only appears when you whistle Dixie. You have gnarled trees falling down, old houses dating back to when the land was a huge plantation, and it's all set in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, it makes for a perfect scary road trip. At some point, I definitely want to do a podcast just about Payne Edwards Road because I did live really close to it. But today, we're sticking very close to home. One of our trips is going to be from Lehigh County and one in Bucks County. And both of them you can still take right now while the leaves are barely clutching onto trees and the veil between the living and the dead is still thinning. JC's Redcon mission was at the fabled Constitution Drive in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and mine was at Dark Hollow Road in Warwick Township, Bucks County. Flip a coin. Who goes first?
Me! Always me, because I'm important. Can I tell my story first? I know that's not how you set it up, but
That's fine. No.
So excited to say that nothing happened. So yeah, before we go into our roadways, before we hit the road, yeah, don't worry. I hate myself as much as you guys hate me. I had a little personal experience the other night. I went down to my basement to get wash out of my dryer. So I have my wash in my hand, and I go to close the basement door. It leads outside, and then I have to go up steps to my apartment. I went to lock it, and before I like making sure I have like my keys in my hand. So I turned off the light. I'm jiggling around in my pockets to just make sure I have my keys in my hand. And when I'm doing that, I hear from the basement a low growl. Just a for about 3 seconds. Now, it's about 2 a.m, so I say, not right now, and I close the fucking door, and I go on with my day until it's daylight, and I come back from work, and I go in the basement, and I try to recreate the noise. I'm trying to, like, open and close the door to see if it was a grinding noise. I look around to see if any machinery or anything that's down there might have made that grinding or any kind of noise that would sound like a growl. I waited for the furnace to kick on, and it did make a sound, but it was more of a clicking, which is normal for furnaces. It wasn't like a growl. So yeah, that happened, and that's the end of that story. There's no satisfying conclusion.
Nice.
Just heard a growl that I probably shouldn't have heard.
Huh.
Yep, that's it. And now on to the roadways.
You should do it. We should do an investigation on your house.
Nope. That goes against my rules. You never stir the pot where you live.
No.
You stir the pot where other people live.
Not a literal investigation. Like, find out, is it a newer apartment complex or is it in a house?
It's a house that was made into apartments.
Ah, see, that's what I'm talking about. You should find out about the house.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay.
I live there. I don't want to know the things. Because then it's just paranoia. Full-on paranoia. So now, Kiki is going to tell us about Constitution Avenue.
Constitution Drive.
Drive. It's a drive. I did think that was weird. For some reason, when I was, like, Googling where it was, I kept typing in Constitution Avenue. And Google always was like, stop being stupid. It's Drive, you idiot. Like, luckily, the power of the internet knew what I was looking for. But, yeah, it is Drive.
Google knows what we need before we even know it. It's kind of creepy now. Creepier than usual.
But yeah, let's have Kiki tell us this wonderful tale. Hopefully wonderful. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't know anything. I drove on this road with no backstory. I didn't know that it was unpaved and that my shocks are probably gone now. I didn't know how terribly... There's just holes in the road. Just, oh my gosh. But Kiki will tell you the spooky stories, hopefully spooky stories, and then I will tell you the financially spooky stories.
How much those shocks are going to cost?
It's pretty shocking.
Oh, man. Oh. So, Constitution Drive is a gravel road that JC should have known before he left the house. It stretches along the top of a hill with a lovely view of the Lehigh River below. Did you see it?
Well, I drove at night, so no.
Okay. It runs next to a now defunct set of railroad tracks.
I did see those.
Railroad tracks just stopped being in use, I believe, 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And it's these railroad tracks that have given rise to one of the legends of Constitution Drive.
Ooh.
And I say one because there are 3 separate legends and phenomena.
Interesting. So can I say, when I was by the railroad tracks, I got the worst feeling. Truest story.
True story? Like
yeah.
But you just had like a weird vibe about the railroad track.
No, like a really bad vibe. Like if I... So okay, you tell your story and then I'll tell my railroad story.
First of all, how... Briefly, how do you get to Constitution Drive?
You Google it.
It's
actually, if you're on 145, which goes through Allentown.
Right.
It is Susquehanna Drive or Road or something.
I think it's, isn't it Susquehanna Avenue?
Yeah, Avenue. It's a thing.
Right. I know it's a really long, technically it's a really, really long road.
Susquehanna?
No.
Oh, Constitution? Yeah, it was way longer than I thought it would be. If you're on 145, north or south, turn onto Susquehanna Avenue, and then like maybe a mile up that road, it's, I believe a left-hand turn. Yeah, left-hand sounds right. And you start going down, like at first it looks like a normal road, and then you see a no outlet sign, and then you see a beware. It's an unmaintenanced road, and you drive by some older looking houses, and then the road turns from paved to not paved, and you're fucked.
All right, and we just said that you had no prior knowledge of any of the stories before going there.
0.
How did you manage to do that?
Because I am very ignorant of many things.
I thought you were all knowing in the last episode. What did the last episode? You said you were like you knew everything.
I believe I've said that every episode, and I believe I'll probably say it in this episode.
and then from now until the end of time.
But no, I've heard people say, "Oh, I'm going on Constitution Drive. It's a haunted road," but I've never heard any of the stories associated with it. I've just heard that it exists.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe it's trailing off a little bit in people talking about the actual stories. And I'm only getting into this because my road is completely the opposite.
Oh, okay.
That. And I feel like Constitution Drive, when I was a kid, a long, long time
90
ago,
years
in a
ago.
galaxy far away, we talked about Constitution Drive, but again, I did not know the stories. It was the same thing. It was like, oh, it's haunted, and it's a creepy road that you can drive on. But nobody actually knew any of the tales.
Yeah.
The internet, though, has helped that a lot. I mean, you can just Google it, and here's all the information.
Yeah, when I Googled, because I did Google it, but I was very careful not to read anything, and I just clicked, like, directions. Like, I did my best.
Yeah, because this particular one, we kind of wanted to do...
blind.
Yeah.
By myself at night, blind, not knowing where I was really going. Ooh, and then, so, interesting story, my GPS on my phone device no longer works. It hasn't for a while, so it's not like creepy, spooky part, but... So it was super fun getting there.
Okay, so tell us about your drive then. How'd it go? Like, we know your shocks are screwed and the road sucks, but how did you said a little while ago you felt some weird vibes about the railroad tracks, but did you actually see anything?
No. I had feelings that were relatively intense. More intense than I've experienced with, like, normal spooky place paranoia. This was like, I felt if I stopped my car, I would be attacked. Which is not a good feeling to have. So I did not stop my car. I do wish I had somebody with me, just to give me some kind of, like, the buddy system works, guys.
Yeah, we talked about the fact that you're not supposed to actually go anywhere without a friend.
Yes.
Very early on in these episodes.
We did, yeah. Buddy system works.
And you did the exact opposite of what... But, see, you need to get... The problem is that you get up so early to do some of this stuff.
No one else is awake.
Yeah. Only the dead are walking.
Yeah.
Literally, in some cases. Yeah. They're just because they just got off work, too, at 2 a.m. They're like, we're really hungry.
So, I wish I had someone with me, and I might go to Constitution Drive again. Probably not till, like, springtime next year.
Oh yeah, I agree. I want to do like a revisit for these two places. Maybe in the spring.
Yeah,
it's gonna be pretty too.
Yes, and I'd like to do maybe some, like, EVP kind of. Not necessarily actual paranormal investigating, but more ghost hunter-y stuff, where it's like, you're not necessarily
we need to get an Ovilus for that.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be a great place to do that at. Just for me, because, the GPS needs to be on, it'd be like, woods. You're in the woods.
Gravel.
Trees. Death. What?
Train.
Constitution.
Constitution.
Are you just telling me where I am?
And then all of a sudden it's just like, we the people. In order to form.
Starts writing out the Constitution. That's funny. But yeah, it's a spooky road. It's heavily forested. It's not well maintained. Like, just the scent, like, the scenery itself definitely inspires spookiness. But I felt my perimeter being challenged. So before I went into the Constitution Drive, I quote-unquote meditated. And if you listen to the episode that was based on the best topic ever, me, where I explained that I believe, like, my light, my shield comes from me. I felt that being challenged most heavily at the railroad when I was there. But before I went in, I did my meditating to build that bubble around myself, because I ain't there to get hurt or fucked with or fucked. Whatever the demon ghosts that... I still don't even know what's there. It could have just been werewolves and goblins that live there. Like, I'll punch a goblin in the face. I've played D&D enough to know that those mofos don't have a lot of hit points. I'll metagame this. And if they don't think I have a sword in the back of my car, they're gonna be surprised.
I have a shovel in the back of mine. I'm just...
You have your shovel.
Know why.
I have 2 swords.
I also had a baseball bat back there at one point. I should put him back in there. His name's Reggie.
Nice. Yeah, you should always have some form of self-defense. That's words of wisdom from JC.
That's words of wisdom from the bone collector, which is me.
Nope, me. I said it first.
Because I like to collect bones. That's why I have a shovel. Because and I'm also an archaeologist, so it's like you kind of just need that in the back of your car.
Okay. Anyway, I didn't see anything, but I didn't stop my car. I just kind of kept driving through. I wish I had done like a drive-through during the day so I knew like places where I wanted to stop. And I wish I didn't have like a time limit as to when I could be there, because I did have other places I had to be. Cough, cough, work. Cough, cough. Because I'm working all the time, guys.
More money. Because we need better equipment.
Yeah, so I'm working 70 hours a week, hating my life. Please edit that out. I don't need them to think I'm a little bitch.
Pretty sure they already think.
Yeah, they do.
All right, so are you ready to know about the legends and stories behind Constitution Drive now that you've already been there?
One moment. So after the railroad...
The answer is no.
No, yeah. After the railroad, I will say the rest of the way was way more spooky than before the railroad. And I think it's just because, like, something at the railroad really set me off. And then from there on, it was just, like, not with me, but I definitely didn't look in any of my rearview mirrors, because I didn't want to see what was back there. I don't know if anything was, but it felt like it was behind me. That's where my perimeter was mainly going off. It also helped that I had my high beams on the entire time. So nothing was in front.
Nice.
That was mainly because of animals. I did not want to hit any deer, foxes, raccoons. I did see a animal corpse that looked like it had been... I don't know why I didn't bring this up before. This is actually kind of fucking weird. It looked like its skin had been ripped off.
Oh.
Like it was just flesh. And it looked to be about the size of a fox, or... Like, it wasn't as fat, chubby as a raccoon. I didn't stop to really look at it. But there was a red pile of what I believe flesh...
Nice.
Just on the road.
Okay.
That was a little weird. But that was probably the only weird thing I actually saw. So yeah, tell me the legends.
All right. So the first legend was that the drive was inhabited by a family of albinos who just wanted to be left alone.
Uh-huh.
Whenever lovers would come out to the secluded drive, and you know how secluded it is still to this day, to get it on, the albinos would throw stones at them. This escalated to attacks, and finally ending with the family deciding to kill and eat passersby. Today, there is only one albino left, and if you leave your car parked on the street to get out and explore, he'll steal it and drive it into the river. What's your take on story number 1?
That if you do that anywhere in Allentown, that's probably going to happen. Just saying. So that doesn't make Constitution Drive any more special than anywhere else in...
But it's an albino that drives it into the river, as opposed to, like...
anyone else?
Homeless Gary down on 6th Street.
I mean... Homeless Gary's a really nice guy, and I think that's really mean of you to just throw him under the bus like that.
Hey, if he steals cars and drives them into the river...
He did that 5 times. That's hardly enough to be, like, the thing he's known for.
Really? It takes more than 5 times to be known as the guy who drives cars into rivers.
The thing he's known for is for the diarrheaing in people's trash cans.
Oh, well, I guess that happens a lot more than 5 times.
Oh, yeah. Every day.
Okay, right. 5 times a day at least. Okay. All right. So anyway, moving on. Real or fake?
The beginning of it sounded real, where it's like a family just wanted to be left alone and would, I mean, you were probably trespassing on their property. Yeah, they have every right to throw rocks at your car. I don't know if it's still real. I don't know if anything other than them throwing rocks at you is real.
It sort of escalates really quickly.
Yeah, it went from throwing rocks to killing and eating
people. Yeah, I was like, all of a sudden, we're not throwing rocks anymore. Now we're cannibals.
Yeah,
quick.
That's intense.
Really quick. Okay, so the jury's out on that one.
I
have the history behind it. Don't worry.
Okay.
I did my homework.
Good job.
The second tale is of a railway man who lived close to the drive, and he used to walk the rails with his 2 dogs every evening. One unfortunate night, he slipped and fell right as the train was coming through. Since he slid down an embankment, no one on the train saw him. His leg was sliced off, and he tried to crawl to civilization, but he bled to death beside the rails. His dogs never left his side, and they died of starvation. To this day, he still walks the rails. His 2 dogs, now just shadows with glowing red eyes, following their master as he wanders between the veils. What do you think of that?
Do you have what type of dogs they were?
No.
Damn it, because I think it would be hilarious if they were pugs.
2 shadow pugs with bright red eyes,
yes,
just wandering the Constitution Drive.
Yes, that would be
terrifying.
I'd be more terrified of a shadow pug than any other shadow dog. Because a shadow pug, he's going to hump you. He's going to hump you good. And good for him, not you. I don't know why. I just feel like pugs are probably the biggest rapist dog. So.
They're opportunists.
Yes. Because they're fat little meatballs.
They're so cute.
I love
and
pugs.
Ugly at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful.
I know.
But other than that, I mean... Yeah, sure. Possible,
Probably
I guess.
More viable than
the albino family cannibal, yeah. Like, why were they also albino? Like, why is that? They're just people. Why you gotta call out, they're just people.
Because it made it more intriguing.
I guess. Maybe.
Yeah.
Sure.
The third story is a strange whistling sound that can be heard all along the road at any time of day or night. No one can figure out what direction it comes from, and seems to disorient people. Some say that this is another feature of the man with the dogs, while others insist that it is a supernatural phenomenon all of its own. And I take it you didn't hear anything, but you were also inside your car, so...
Yes, that is true, and I did not roll my windows down because it was cold.
Cold as fuck last night.
It sure was.
It was almost like Pennsylvania was like, hey, remember winter? You do now.
Yeah. I also didn't know that I should be listening for anything, so I didn't roll my window down.
And that's fine.
I did turn my music off. I'll say that. Which, being alone in the quiet with my thoughts was probably the most horrifying thing. Never go into my mind.
Okay, so let's get off of the morbidity of JC's brain. Actually, mine, I'm sorry. So I'm going to talk about the whistling sound first.
I'm interested.
I'm going to debunk that right now.
Okay.
The sound comes from the Norfolk Southern Railway hub, which is located right across the river from the drive.
That makes sense.
It's supposedly the sound of freight cars hooking and unhooking, and it just resonates off the trees and the river in a very weird way, making it difficult to tell where the sound is coming from. We have the same exact problem right here in the area that we are currently recording, is in a very thick wooded area. And it's very difficult for me sometimes to tell even where a gunshot or a dog bark is coming from.
When I came in today, I heard like a dog yelping, and it sounded like they were just in a metal cage. And it was like the weirdest, because it sounded like it was close by, but far away at the same time. Sound is weird, guys. If you just hear a sound is weird.
Now, and no one, to my knowledge, has done this yet. The one thing we could do, since the railway is now that railway is defunct, but I don't know, because there's a whole bunch of rails that branch off of it, which you can see on Google. You can see where the hub is and how many train tracks come off that hub. So I don't know if all of the train tracks if the whole railway is defunct, or if it's still freight cars, but they're just not using that particular part of the railway.
I will say that I know that place is hiring.
Okay. So they're still in business. They're still there. They're just not using that particular part of the rail anymore.
Yeah, probably because of ghost dogs.
Wait, but if you hit a ghost dog...
No, it's too spooky.
Nothing
the trains
happens.
get scared.
Okay, Thomas.
Thomas the Tank, yeah, he gets scared. He doesn't want to see ghosts all the time. He says, I'm not doing that trip no more.
Okay, next, I'm going to take on the albinos.
Ooh.
This is my favorite.
Kiki v. albinos. Who will win?
Taking you down right now. This is a legend based on an actual event that got twisted.
Interesting.
During the Prohibition era, we're back to Prohibition era, bootleggers used this densely wooded area to hide stills. Naturally, they attacked people who passed by as an attempt to ward off others. But somewhere down the line, this idea of attacking led some radio hosts to concoct a story about the albinos in order to get more people to visit Allentown. True fucking story.
And if you really need a reason to visit Allentown, it's, just for the culture.
But I mean, albinos, duh. Like, what's the one thing that's going to get me to your city? A fucking pack of cannibal albinos. For sure. Absolutely.
I'm not going for that. That's boring. I could take on a pack of albino cannibal. They don't even have to be albino.
They don't have to be a pack. I thought you were going to say they don't have to be a pack.
No, I could take on a group of cannibals.
All right. Even though the radio hosts admitted that the story was all a hoax, the legend persists to this day. I just watched a video on YouTube from 2011 that was still talking as if this story might be true. And I want to give a shout out to a guy on YouTube named William DeFalco. He's got this nice little YouTube channel where he addresses some spooky stuff in Pennsylvania too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and he took this particular urban legend and broke it down in a 2017 video, so it's fairly new. And rather than admonish those who perpetrate blatant lies, I've decided to go ahead and give positive reinforcement for truth-telling to William DeFalco for having this nice little information about Constitution Drive on his YouTube channel. So that is awesome. Thank you so much. And also, it only takes a few minutes of fact-checking before you go out to any site. Don't be lazy about it.
Yeah, don't be a JC. Be a Kiki.
Although, to be fair, in this particular instance, we purposely did not want you to know anything before you went.
You purposely don't ever want me to know about things. You don't tell me what I'm eating. You don't tell me where I'm going. You don't tell me, oh yeah, go to this place. You'll definitely not get butt fucked by a werewolf. That's not on the agenda. It's never happened to everyone that's been there.
What is it with you and the butt?
It's my thing of the day, okay?
It's just your thing. Okay, it's just your thing of the day.
Just the thing of the day.
Again, it is perfectly fine if you enjoy that. It's fine.
Yeah,
okay?
I don't. Right, so it's bad for me to get it.
It's just JC is not into that.
Yeah, this is bad for me to get it. If you like it, I mean, good on you. Good on you. You do what you like. We're not here to kink shame.
And now to the story that is based in fact.
Ooh, I'm interested.
Yes, there was a man who died on the railroad tracks in Allentown in the same grisly way that our ghost did. And I believe we have the correct man based on the following news article. Allentown, Pennsylvania, August 25th, 1915.
That's a while ago.
Right? From loss of blood, Alfred Miller, age 25, died today in the Allentown Hospital, the victim of train jumping. With a number of companions, he went to the lower end of the county on Monday to shoot groundhogs. They missed the last passenger train home and decided to jump a freight train. Miller was hurled under the wheels and his right leg cut off. His companions did not miss him until they got home. The crew of a following train found him lying unconscious beside the track.
So no dogs.
No dogs, but that could be an embellishment.
Well, and okay,
Easily.
so let's say somebody did see ghost with two shadowy dogs with red eyes. So the red eyes tend to be something bad, okay? Dogs are never bad, unless they're hellhounds. Or chihuahuas.
Which are hellhounds, right?
Yes. But, like, dogs are never really, like... They didn't die mauling someone to death. I didn't understand why there's shadowy dogs with red eyes and that those are his companion dogs unless they were somehow evil fucking dogs. Like, that just doesn't make sense. So, dogs might be an embellishment, or there's something else.
The Norfolk Southern Railway, which is parallel to the road, its primary function has always been freight.
Okay.
And Constitution Drive does lie in the southeast corner of the county. And that railway has been there since about 1855.
Okay.
So it was there and running when this happened. I think that the dogs were added because the story got a little concocted because it was these kids, they went hunting. People usually take dogs hunting. Maybe it just sort of like got into this whole thing. And the other part of it that doesn't make any sense to me at all is the dogs stayed with the dead body and starved to death.
I've never met a dog. I've never met a dog.
What are you talking about?
That would do that. Never once have I met a dog that like, oh no, we love our owner. Yeah, but I have a steak. Oh yeah, no, fuck him.
or hey, there is a very good rump roast laying right here, dead on the side. I know it's their owner, but let's just eat it.
I don't think dogs might not. If there are other food sources available, they might. I think there's been studies. Cats, I feel, do. Like, after, like, a day or something, cats will start feasting on a corpse.
Yeah, definitely cats.
I think dogs, if there's other food, like, even if they have to work harder for those food sources, they'll avoid the body of the owner.
Yeah, well, and you bring up a good point, though, too, because we're also talking about an area that is highly wooded and has a lot of animals living in it. So, again, the dogs wouldn't starve to death. They would just hunt, and his body wasn't lying there that long. Nobody's...
Yeah, that's weird. That's definitely a weird thing.
Yeah, no. Dogs are out. The dogs are out. I believe that our ghost is Alfred Miller.
I mean, yeah.
If he's there. That's
if he's there.
Which makes, of the three stories, the only one that we can 100% say is possible.
Yes. We can 100% say that there's a 50% chance that maybe this happened.
There's a 100% chance that 50% of the time the ghost will be there.
Yes.
We are so good at this.
We're the best.
We're moving on.
Okay.
To Dark Hollow Road.
Ooh, it has such a better name than Constitution Drive.
It really is.
Like, that sounds like a spooky road.
It is a spooky place.
Is it?
It is.
I'm intrigued.
We should go there, like, for reals, like, and do EVPs up there, too.
Nice.
Yeah.
In the springtime when it's not 1,000 degrees, below zero.
Right, or 1,000 degrees.
Either or.
In the summer, with humidity. So, just about 20 miles north of Philadelphia, Dark Hollow is a 770-acre woodland park that is split in half by the Neshaminy Creek. Dark Hollow Road runs along one side of the park. You can access it from Almshouse Road to the south and follow it up all the way to the Neshaminy Creek. The road will curve to a bridge that crosses the creek here, and just over the bridge is where the magic begins. For centuries, this area has been called haunted. Even long before our story takes place, the Scots-Irish that laid roots in the hollow were farmers. To be fair, the whole vale has a dark, foreboding feel to it, which is exactly how it got its name in the first place. The spruce, cedar, chestnuts, and oaks, coupled with dogwood and elder underbrush, have helped fortify this kingdom of shade so much that the Irish who lived here said that Jack of the Lantern was ever present, gliding through the dimly lit woods. And now all you guys should know by now who Jack of the Lantern is.
Stingy Jack.
Stingy Jack. One of our episodes that we did for the Legend of Stingy Jack. So go back and listen to that.
It was a great episode. Good job, JC, for reading that. And doing all the research for it. Good job, JC. That's what I'm going to say.
Huge joke since he did absolutely nothing and I read it.
You know, I just feel like I need some credit for the things I obviously did everything for. I don't see why you have to take all the credit all the time.
So I knew the story of Dark Hollow Road from two places. First, my grandparents and mother, who had grown up in the area. When I was a kid, we drove on the road multiple times, especially during Halloween or for some Samhain. Unfortunately, we never saw anything strange. Secondly, I know the story from a book that every ghost hunter and paranormal investigator in Pennsylvania, I'm looking at you, JC, should have read by now.
Probably didn't. What book is it?
It's called Ghosts in the Valley, and it's written by the Mistress of the Macabre, Addie Kent Thomas Jeffrey. This woman was amazing. She was Barnard College graduate, was into journalism for a while, loved the supernatural, and wound up writing a whole bunch of books on all the ghost stories from Delaware Valley, Philadelphia area. There's 4 of them, I believe, now altogether. She has passed away, but her daughter has continued to edit some of them and add more material into a couple of the older books. The first time I ever saw this book was because my grandmother had bought it, and it was just Xeroxed pages with a black cardstock cover that had the title of it in white spooky script. It was really the first book that I had as a kid. It wasn't really a book yet. It was like pamphlets on it. And that's how she got started. And then she got picked up by a publishing company, and now it's, for me, her books are the go-to if you want the legends. But did
they publish her books?
Yes.
They just picked her up?
Oh, God. I'm just going to continue and just pretend that you're not even here at this point. Well, among the stories in this first book is the story of Dark Hollow Road that I'm about to tell you. Just over the ancient bridge and atop a small incline, there once stood a schoolhouse. It had seen many a student, some even moving on to do great works in Pennsylvania. But it was a schoolmaster that made this little house famous. He was called a Connecticut Yankee, tall, thin, and grim-looking. He only knew how to communicate with his students by the switch. Many evenings, his poor, rattled students returned home, bruised and battered. And don't say a goddamn word about a switch. It's a branch. It's whittled down and used to beat the crap out of kids.
Was it a heavy one, or would you say it's a light switch?
Anyway, I'm gonna kill you. Many evenings, his poor, rattled students returned home, bruised and battered, too afraid to tell their parents about his abusive ways for fear of further reprisals. One day, while delivering a harsh beating, he broke his switch and left the classroom to fetch another. The boys, finally having had enough, took this opportunity to hastily gather their things and run off home, with each boy now collectively showing parents their bruises and wailing over their harsh treatment over the past few months. All of the parents believed them and were not only shocked, but rightly angry over having chosen this man to teach, only to have him turn into a tyrant. They immediately pulled their children from his classroom and told him he was dismissed. No one ever saw the schoolmaster again, at least not until several months later. The school, having been shut down, was shuttered and temporarily abandoned. A former pupil of the grim Yankee decided to peek in on his old classroom. He found a shutter with a small hole and peered in. To his utter astonishment, there sat the ghost of the schoolmaster, switch in hand, waiting for his pupils to return. The boy dashed off in terror, telling everyone in the hollow of what he saw. And to this day, even though the schoolhouse has long since decayed into oblivion, one can still catch a glimpse of the grim Yankee floating along the roadside, switch in hand, looking for a child he can whip into shape. And now, I'm going to blow your mind. Because the story that I just told you is not from Addie Kent's 1971 book.
What?
I rewrote that story with a slight variation from the original source material, a book called Sketches and Legends of Bucks County and Montgomery Counties, written by William J. Buck in 1861. In which he interviewed the pupil himself who saw the ghost. By Buck's estimation, he was 80 years old at the time of the interview. The old man attended the school when he was about 10 to 12 years old, which means that this ghost story originated in the Hollow in 1791. The account of the old man runs almost identical to the story that Addie Kent Smith writes in 1971, with a couple differences. One is that she suggests that the school was shut down for good after the Grim Yankee leaves. And she left out actually a pretty important part of the story from the perspective of the 80-year-old man, which is that the reason the pupils did not return to the school had less to do with just one ghost and everything to do with the idea that the whole entire road was haunted by an evil presence. When Buck returns to the Hollow in 1881, the schoolhouse is long gone, and when he asks a local if the legends of the Hollow still persist, the man begrudgingly admits that they do. That even though there are finally some new homes being built and a new bridge constructed, nowhere does the light flash more suddenly or the thunder rumble more loudly. Nowhere does the owl screech more ominously, or the moon rise more dismal. Furthermore, regardless of whether or not the story is true, the schoolhouse existed outside of this legend. And I think that is what makes it so important as a story. I found the evidence in the History of Bucks County, Pennsylvania, published in 1887. That's edited by J.H. Battle. The book includes a biographical sketch of the prominent landowners of the time in the Dark Hollow. One of them is B. Taylor Jameson. Jameson attended Dark Hollow School in 1835, according to that book. So we now know the school existed, even though we've never seen it. Like, you can go up there right now and there's nothing. And the cool part about this is that his teacher is listed as George Lear. This isn't our Yankee, by the way. This is George Lear that goes on to become Attorney General of Pennsylvania, which means that his life is well documented. And we now know that Lear worked at the school from 1835 until he became a store clerk in 1839, which, by the way, means that even being a teacher back then sucked so bad, it was better. You were better off going to retail.
Kids are garbage.
That's it, huh? That's the takeaway from...
Yeah, that's why that guy worked as a store clerk. I feel like
that's possible, yes. But I also want to say that
maybe it was just he, needed a less demanding job.
That is possible, because he does go on 1839. He takes a store clerk position, and by 1844 he has studied enough on his own, because that's how you did it back then, to pass the bar in Philadelphia, and he became a lawyer.
See, so maybe he was just studying.
Needed to study more, But according to Buck, the schoolhouse was already in shambles in 1861 and was completely removed by 1862. So it stood empty for possibly 23 years if the final classes were taught by George Lear. Let's just go with that. But the thing is, though, that the schoolhouse was in use, though, for 40 years after the origin of the ghost story. So it didn't get shut down because of the ghost. It may have been temporarily, as I suggested in my take, it may have been temporarily closed for a while, but it was still used later because we have George Lear becoming a teacher. But here's the truly impressive thing about the story.
I'm waiting.
It's remained relatively unchanged now for 228 years.
I mean...
That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, come on, really?
Has the story of Beowulf changed much?
Oh my gosh.
I'm just saying, once you write something down, it's there, And they wrote it down, so then it's difficult to change.
It got lost, though, for a really long time as far as the writing goes. I mean, Buck's writing this in, 1861 is when he visited, but his book didn't get published until 1886. And then you have Addie Kent not really talking about or writing it again in 1971. So that's a really long time. That's like, what was that, like 123 years? I suck at math. I don't know.
I mean, it's still,
I feel like it's pretty impressive, and it's a possibility. This guy, though, if you read Buck's account of the interview, this 80-year-old man, he makes a point to say that even though he looked like he was 80 years old, that he seemed to be of sound mind, and he told him other tales besides his ghost story. He said there was the tale of the Negro who was charmed by a black snake. I have no idea what that is. I almost want to try to find out more about that one. An enchanted gun. And a folk tale, or I should say a legend about an Indian, or now Native American, or First Peoples, honestly, that was killed and then he haunted part of the woods too. So it's interesting that Addie Kent didn't really pick up on any of those or do any background research on any of those others mentioned, which makes me not 100% sure that she got the story from his book, but she got it from the families still living in the Hollow to this day. I mean, Jameson is a very prominent name. I mean, there's a town named after those farmers. They never left. There's a lot of those families are still there. Yerkes is another name from that area, and I've got Yerkes right down the street here, who I take my car to now, but go Yerkes. But I mean, these are families who've been here since the 1600s. It's crazy. A lot of them bought land from William Penn himself. That's how old some of these tales. I mean, I love it. I think it's really cool. And I feel like I'm more apt to believe a story that's been passed down this long, the same exact way, without any kind of embellishments, than I do. I don't believe the ghost dogs part.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I found out. Episode 6, PA Haunt. Haunted Roadways Volume 1.
Haunted Roadways.
Haunted Roadways Volume 1. There we go. I think we'll do 2 at a time like this from now on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's kind of cool. We can go in opposite directions.
Yeah. And so wait, you drove this roadway. Did you experience
No, I told you I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
I did not. Oh, I should probably tell you guys this too. This is sort of really important. There are 2 Dark Hollow roads in Bucks County. One of them is the correct one, and one is definitely not the correct one. There is a Dark Hollow road that is right outside Pipersville. That is not the right one. It's a very short road. It's lovely, and it gets confused sometimes with the other one because it too cuts through farmland and curves around, and there's an iron bridge that you cross as well. That iron bridge currently is out as of November 2019. They're fixing it. The real Dark Hollow Road, the one that we're talking about, that one is in Warwick Township, and it does the same thing. It curves around a little bit and then crosses the Neshaminy Creek over an iron bridge. So when you're ghost hunting, don't accidentally take the wrong one, because I noticed on one website there was a photograph of a farmhouse, or of a barn, and I know that it was from Dark Hollow Road in Pipersville. It was not. It was not the one in Warwick Township, so it was kind of funny.
Yeah, guys, if you're going to be a JC and not do the research, make sure you have a Kiki that tells you where to go.
Because you're going to get lost.
You need someone to be like, hey, you gotta go to the right place. You just need that person. And if you're going to be the person that's like, no, I just wander places, man. Like me. It's not a good life. It's not an easy life, but someone has to do it. Some call me noble and heroic.
I don't know any of those people.
I do. They're all in my mind.
Your head. Okay, so that, I guess, unless you have anything else to add to the story, is a wrap on our first Haunted Roadways.
Guys, if you enjoyed what you listened to, make sure you like us. Follow us on the social medias where we post.
Follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram.
Twitter.
No Facebook.
No Facebook.
Facebook is evil.
It's just too toxic right now.
It's evil. It's too, you know what? It's too spooky for Mission Spooky. That's what I'll be willing to say.
We have our Patreon site up. If you donated just $1, that would only be $12 a year. But that would mean so much to us because gas money, especially if we're going to do more of the roadway ones. And we have a lot of things planned for this summer that we want to do, including a little bit of cryptid hunting.
Yeah, we're going to
Lake monsters coming next summer.
I'm getting my big old fishing net, and I'm gonna catch me a lake monster.
Kind kind of sounds
gonna
like you
eat
want
'em.
to eat it. Yeah, don't do that. No.
You eat them to gain their strength.
Oh, God. We are going to be adding a $2 Patreon tier, and that's going to give you access to our booper reels.
Oh, booper! Oh, see what she did there? Where it's like blooper, but booper.
Like a
also,
ghost.
boobs in the word.
But no, booper, not boobs. Or maybe if I name it boober reel, more people will follow.
Don't, because I feel like that might like get red flagged. I mean, me cursing all the time is probably getting us red flagged.
We're already flagged as adult content.
Good, because we talk about adult things here.
We say fuck a lot.
I mean, I do.
Yeah, you do. You do, mostly. Yeah, so the $2, $24 a year. That would help us. Oh my God, that would help us out so much. That'd be great. The booper reels, so we're going to be doing those bi-monthly. So I get to edit all this stuff. And I'm taking out things that are hysterical, but we just couldn't fit into the episodes. They would have been shoehorned in and it would have been not right. So,
or it was just me going off on a rant about how, things that I rant about.
Yeah, there are some JC rants that you should absolutely pay to hear. They're hysterical, I promise.
I mean, I think they all make sense and that they're completely logical. So let that be a selling point.
JC the Everyman.
I am the Everyman.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did going out into the countryside and hunting
Mine was
our
in the
ghosts.
middle of the city. It wasn't even in the countryside. It was crazy. Like, I was city,
felt like the
and then all of a sudden,
countryside.
dead. Like, just woods. I'm like, what the fuck? And then when you drive through it, you end up back in the city. Well, like a suburban area, but it's like, what the fuck? There has to be portals.
Right? It did. That one does. So technically it's the countryside of Allentown.
Yes.
Yeah. Which makes it even cooler. So anyway, thanks for listening. Stay spooky and don't die. But if you do, contact us.
And if we don't pick up, please leave a message after the beep.